Now let's hop on to a very interesting segment, Guftagu with CEOs. I invite all the esteemed speakers for this session. Our first introduction is the moderator for this session, Ms. Lopamudra Banerjee, Deputy Director HR, Southeast Asia and HR Head at Career Midea, India. Let us all welcome her with a huge round of applause. Next we have Ms. Aditi Shukla, Head of India Shared Services and Country Head India at AXA XL. Mr. Priyansh Bawa, Country Head Technology and Consulting at HP. Let us not let the applause fade away as we welcome more leaders. Next we have Mr. Balajee V. Diwakar, MD CLAAS at Agricultural Machinery Private Limited. And concluding the panel, we have Dr. B.A. Metri, Director at IIM Nagpur. Over to you, ma'am.
Good morning, everyone. So first of all, warm welcome and thank you to the panelists for joining us here this morning. I have a panel full of stalwarts, whether it's the academia or the corporate, so I have a tall job here. But the interesting thing is that we have representation from industry across different sectors, and also from institutions which firmly believe in this future workforce trilogy that we have been talking about since yesterday. Now, in all the panels yesterday, we heard about what the future actually holds for us, that AI is actually here, that sustainability has become a corporate imperative, and a lot about what organizations are doing in that direction. So my intent here will be to try and understand from each one of the panelists how these things are shaping their organizations and academic institutions. To that end, I would actually like to start my questioning with Professor. I wanted to ask you that, since we are talking so much about, the new gen, AI, sustainability, etc., what role do you think academia can play to ensure that there is a collaboration between academia and corporate and create that interdisciplinary approach which will help both the students as well as the corporate? And how can we make them future ready?
Thank you very much, ma'am. I think academia, because of today's the fast-changing world or disruptions, academic institutions are also equipping the students what corporate needs. So, for example, in academia, particularly in management education, it is close to the corporate world, and curriculum regularly we update. And as you mentioned, two important aspects. One is new generation, AI, and the sustainability. So I'll begin with sustainability. Today we are all talking about sustainable development goals. In academic institutions, for example, I am Nagpur, we have a green building. We are already, in 3-4 months, when I was in Trichy, that was the first time to have a solar campus, and Trichy is going to be in 3-4 months solar campus, 2 megawatt. It is the second IIM to get a solar campus. So, and our building, if you see of course, amongst all IIM Nagpur is the world-class infrastructure. It is the best infrastructure as in today. And we have made that building as a green building following all the GRAHA rating. We have received the GRAHA rating 4 in large building. So that takes care of sustainability. Whether we talk about zero wastage and also the horticulture and as well as net zero, even we are also working on net zero campus. It is another one we are working with one of the MNC. Probably within a year or so, our campus is going to be net zero campus. globally few universities are listed and we are going to be one among them. And probably we may be the first one, we are working on that. So this is as far as sustainability part is concerned. As a campus, it is 132-acre campus. We have 2-3 acre even forest also we have reserved with the teak and teak wood and all. Similarly, when it comes to curriculum, we have created a department called Humanities, Arts and Social Science. Through that, we introduced a course called Corporate Governance, CSR and Sustainability. There is a course. Apart from this, every course we teach, we touch the sustainability. Because as usual, business is not going to work out. Sustainable business model is going to work out. So that is where, whether it is marketing, finance, any vertical, the sustainable component as well as the Indian ethos or business ethics, these two are embedded in each course. So this is a sustainable part. As far as AI is concerned, Nagpur is the first institution in the country to set up the AI R&D center in collaboration with Government of Maharashtra. We have within our campus, we have created 2 government institutions. Together we have created one more government institution, Section 8 company, and that is funded by Government of Maharashtra. We are producing AI product to begin with the Ministry of Home, Government of Maharashtra, and we are extending it to agriculture, health and education. So currently it is on. As well as we are also working on how to develop MBA curriculum enabled with AI. So currently professors are teaching the courses. Now AI-enabled course means it is a self-learning and professor roles will be changing from teaching to hand-holding and coaching. So that currently work is on, and probably very soon, within a year or two, we may come out with AI-enabled MBA. So every students will be a self-learning, they are engaging, involving, asking interesting questions, and AI and AI agents will help our students to do that. So this is the AI part. It is ongoing process, and many changes are happening. And as on today, LLM, it is called technical term, large language model, cost per person is coming about per capita, it is about $8.5. It is American AI, LLM. And one of the Indian who is based in Bangalore, he has his own company in Harvard and even Japan and Bangalore. So he is working with us. His plan is to bring down the cost from $8.5 to $1.5 because India is a big country. How to make it affordable so that every Indians and Indian sector can use as well as education sector. So we are working with that company to reduce the cost and use the LLM. So this is the AI is concerned. So when it comes to the important one, the students joining the program, and you know that new generation, every generation has their own advantages and disadvantages and merits and demerits. So the expectations of new generations are entirely different than the other. And if you look at your all corporate world, today 5 generations are working in the corporate world. Now each generation have their own objective, and all together they have to fulfill the objective of corporate world. So requirements are different, but when it comes to our institution, the new generation people, they're graduating and their needs and expectations. So keeping that in mind, in most of the management institutions, we provide them lot of autonomy within the institutions to pursue their own goals. For example, we have students council, and within the council there are finance club, marketing club, entrepreneurship area, e-cell we call. Similarly, big data clubs, various clubs are there, and they contact with the companies, they pursue whatever their activities, competitions, as well as they conduct 2 big program, industry institute interface. They invite the leaders in the corporate world, they come and address what corporate expect from each one of you. And similarly, we also have a human library concept, accomplished person, coming to the campus, and mostly we have invited like Harsh Mariwala kind of person who wrote a book, and the book is given to the students, and such personalities are addressed for 15-20 minutes, and students come with preparation of that book, and they ask a number of questions: how your journey started, how you transformed your organization from supplying coconut oil in big vehicle to the packaged bottle and all sales. So all those kind of things, even Harish Bhatt, Tata brands, like that, all those people, they share their journey. So then students understand what corporate wants and how is the trend. And 3 years down the line, maybe what is today, it is not going to be there. Some new things are going to come, and some existing probably activities as well as product may disappear. So all those understanding the trend, all those things are created aware. Apart from that, if you ask about Nagpur, we have 73 mentors. Every student have, every mentor will mentor about 3 to 4 students, and they will be interacting, e-mentoring, and physically they come 2 days in a year. They are normally in January, physical mentoring and all, so that we can, even though they are studying in the institution, but they will be fully aware about the corporate world. And at the same time, our curriculum revision, we involve large number of corporate people. What is the expectation? Of course, it is keep on changing because of the disruptions. And for example, 3D printing has changed the operations management inventory model. That is no more applicable because of 3D printing. So all those incorporation we do.
Sure.
Plus, we also give lot of experiential based courses so that their mind can be a growth mind, and even though after graduating, they should be able to lead the unknown roles and in a new company.
Thank you for explaining that so well. I'll next come to Balajee. I wanted to ask that in your organization specifically, what role does AI play in the long-term strategy? So when you decide, your next 5 years, 10 years strategy, how much do you keep AI on the forefront, and what kind of a role does it have, and how does it impact?
Yeah. So I will little bit change your question a little bit, because we are very focused on digitization as a strategy, and AI is part of that. And AI being a recent development and changing very fast, it is there as part of strategy. But digitization for, I would say, last 8 to 10 years has been a big part of our strategy. So much so that the previous CEO was an IT head earlier, and he became the CEO of an agri-equipment company. You can understand how important digitization is for our organization, because these large agri-equipments, they are, traditionally very strong mechanical parts, but going forward and even currently, we are a lot focused on digitization, because, just being mechanically good is not good enough. The machines have to understand, like currently the machines are fitted with a lot of diagnostic tools, which collect a lot of data, which is known as precision farming, meaning that when the combines go to harvest a crop, it would study the crop conditions. Like if there is a presence of bund, it can sense. So this data is collected and then analyzed and used for future development of the machines. That is one aspect. The second aspect is that it gives the farmer much more ease of operation, because earlier he had to manually see that, okay, there is a bund coming, or the crop is growing thicker here, I have to change the settings. But these things, over a period, a lot of data has been collected, and these features are automated in the machines. So now you can, you don't need to apply.
They are taught to interpret and understand that?
At the current stage, that data is analyzed, and that is used to, I would say, automate settings in the machine, so that the machine can, based on the reading of the soil condition, maybe moisture of the soil, moisture in the crop, the machine can apply itself and use it. But it's pre-fitted in the sense that it is not happening real time. So if X condition is there, then the operation has to be mode Y. That kind of, based on previous data collection, we are using this. So this is so far as machines is concerned. One aspect, maybe I am slightly deviating, but I will still like to talk about is that we have this big problem of paddy straw burning in north. And we have a solution for that, a global solution, but very much applicable in our local conditions, especially in Punjab, Haryana states. We have something called as big balers, and the crop residue which is left after harvesting is collected by the baler, compacted, and this is transported to a biomass plant where it is used to convert energy. And this has to happen in a very small window of 4 to 5 weeks, because the farmers are ready to plant the next crop. So in 5 weeks, you have to collect all the straw in the field. There are multiple technologies available, there are multiple avenues, but one of these is a big avenue. So the farmer doesn't have to burn, the farmer gets some money out of it, and we use that paddy straw as a biofuel for generating electricity. So this is happening. This is happening in Punjab, and maybe at least 20-30% of straw is getting collected like this. And then on the third aspect, which is AI, which was your main question, it is still developing. Our organization is very sensitive to it. As I said, digitization plays a very key aspect in the future growth of the organization. So I can tell you what are the practical aspects where we are using. So we have something called as CLAAS GPT. It has come into picture, say 6 or 8 months ago, and then there are weekly updates as to what are the features. So what we have to do, because the organization has to protect its confidential data, so that it is not used as a guinea pig for a general open environment. So we have a ring fence where the internal data stays internally, and that these AI tools are used for helping the employees. Primarily where we are using to summarize data, to if you upload the PPTs, it can give you some references. So these are some of the areas where we are already using, but because it's a very developing thing, it is developing very fast. So every week there's an update, and if you are interested, so it is not like this that someone is telling you, your boss is telling you, okay, you learn these tools. It is that out of your own curiosity and to make your work environment better, you choose whatever tools are already available within your system to I would say, make your job easier. That's a very simple way in which we use AI currently. Of course, a lot of strategies are confidential and may not be disclosed, like things like autonomous driving, agri equipment, those kind of things are also there, but not in everybody's knowledge within the company. So I tell from my limited experience and understanding of what we are doing on this. So this was a brief about what.
Thank you so much for explaining that. I wanted to ask you, Priyansh, do you think that AI governance is something that should be self-regulated, or that there should be a larger framework and structure where it should be tightly regulated by governments? Because there is a risk there, right? There are ethical considerations, there are risks. So what is your thought on that?
Okay, thank you, Lopa. And I want to get at least one stage prior to what you've mentioned, right? So before we start talking about AI, I wanted to touch upon a little bit on some of the building blocks of AI, right? We've heard a lot of buzz around AI. For many people, AI is, it's one of those things that's going to eat up your job. For many people, AI is all about, oh, you know what, I've got ChatGPT, I'll ask questions, I'll get answers. This is probably the tip of the iceberg, right? This technology works in a very different manner. So there are certain building blocks of this technology. A couple of the building blocks of the technology are things like machine learning. Machine learning has been here for decades. When I started my career, at that time, machine learning was a buzzword. And my career started more than 35 years back, right? Apart from machine learning, we also have the concept of something called as deep learning, which is a subset of machine learning where machines can be made to understand logic. They can be made to understand logic and interpret logic and then make decisions based on that logic. right? With these two concepts in place comes the third most important component, which is data. Today, artificial intelligence is two parts. It's the engine that decides, and it's the data that gives you the decision, right? So when we start talking or interacting with AI, the first thing is every AI system will have a certain interaction method. So one has to stick to that. That's the first thing. So there's a certain learning curve around that. Then comes, what data is this AI based upon, right? Dr. Metri very aptly touched upon large language models, right? Large language models are essentially just bunches of data, but enormous bunches of data, right? So if I have to give you just a quick comparison, imagine this entire hall full of paper with some of the other content written, right? I would assume that to be a big database, lots of content, lots of this. Now let's extend our imagination and let's look at it and say, what if I had an area which was 20 times larger than Nehru Stadium and that filled with paper full of content? That's when you start scratching the surface with large language models. You're talking about billions of rows of data. You're talking about very, very large, differentiated and different types of data, right? Now here's the problem that comes in. Where does this data come from? What shades of information does it carry? A lot of data will say activity A is good, activity B is not good, right? Or activity A is acceptable and activity B is not acceptable, right? So your AI engine or your artificial intelligence is going to be as accurate as the data on it. Now that we understand that, I think a bigger responsibility is on the creators of this AI to be able to feed what we call as impartial data into the system so that the AI is giving a more balanced output. Right? As a very short trivia, I'll put this out. Our Prime Minister brought out a very small little aspect on social media. He said if you ask AI to get a person to make an image of a person who's writing with their right hand, snap of a finger, you'll have that image. Now you ask AI to draw the same image with a person who's writing with their left hand. And a lot of you are going to be surprised, there are no engines that can do that today. Imagine, more than 20% of this world's population uses left hand as the primary limb. And yet you have artificial intelligence in the 21st century which is unable to draw a human figure which is writing with their left hand. Why? Because that's the large language model on which it is based. Now, answering your question directly. And I'm going to use a couple of examples over here. I personally feel, and this is with a lot of leaders that come from our industry, which is the hardware manufacturing industry, is that I think it's not possible. AI is like a free running horse. It's going to go anywhere and everywhere. So I think we need governance rules around that. That's very, very clear. Absolutely, completely aligned on that. Governments have to come in. Governments have to put rules and regulations just the way you have laws in countries that will define what is correct, what is not correct, what is ethical, what is not ethical. Exactly similar laws need to be crafted, need to be designed for AI as well. And this role, I think people themselves will never ever adapt that role. Governments have to adapt that role because they are more apt at this. Their field of vision is far wider than the field of vision of an entrepreneur or of an, I would say, ideast. People who will come up with ideas, who will come up with, startups and say, I can do this, I can do that. Their field of vision is only specific to what they think about. Governments think in a very, they think public, they think people, they put people first, right? So I think governments are better adapted to come on this. And I'll give you classic examples. In today's world, if you see in the last couple of weeks, there have been ripples in the industry with, at one end, you had ChatGPT, you had Copilot, and you had so many other AI engines that were costing millions of dollars to create. And then suddenly you have DeepSeek, one Chinese startup coming out, and in a few $100,000, they built an AI engine, right? Now, the question is, what is true? Frankly, we have no clue. Each and every individual's truth is what they are exposed to. And that's a very, very dangerous thing.
But do you see this happening anytime soon? Do you think governments are recognizing the need and putting together a structure and a framework?
Absolutely. And let me also say that it is my belief that India is going to be one of those pioneering nations which will bring out these frameworks, these governance laws around AI. I know a lot of people tend to feel that, we've lost the race, the bus has gone, and we've missed the boat and all that stuff. I don't believe so. You're going to see a spurt of AI coming out of India in a very, very different, in manners that we cannot believe. This country has produced geniuses for thousands of years. It has not stopped. And my belief says it has not stopped. So I'm still waiting. A lot is going to come in very different manners, right? And I think governments are taking it up very, very seriously. A classic example is China, where if you ask DeepSeek about sensitive topics that are not very favorable to China, the AI refuses. It circumvents those answers. It refuses. It talks about the weather. It talks about football. It talks about other things. Or sometimes it will bluntly tell you, I'm not in a position to answer this question. So, China's already doing that. So I think, yes, governments will have to step in and create laws for this.
Thank you so much for that. Okay. Aditi, I wanted to ask you that in your organization, how is your company culture evolving in order to better align with the requirements of the newer generation?
Sure. Thank you, Lopa. And as my co-panelist so beautifully put it, we are today, all our workplaces are multi-generational workplaces, right? As we start thinking about it, okay, what's so different about new generations? If you think about it that deeply, the requirements and the needs of the new generation is not very fundamentally different from what was there. It is not that Gen X did not want flexibility, Gen X did not need a better work-life balance, or Gen X did not want better raises or did not want movement. I think what has fundamentally changed today is that we now have a generation that is more vocal. And the reason they are more vocal is they are equipped with the right vocabulary to actually talk about issues that are important to them and what they need. So I think that's the only change that has come in. The fundamental needs and requirements.
They are less fearful.
They're less fearful. And I have a personal theory about that. I feel with economic prosperity, the need to hold on to a job, to get your basic needs of, roti, kapda, makan is gone. A lot of Gen Zs especially still have both parents who are working. So what they are earning is essentially disposable income that they can use any which ways like. So hence the need to be less fearful. I feel that comes from the economic strata and from the economic derivatives more than the generation. I think even we would be less fearful if there were less economic liabilities to be worried about. So that's where it is. Now, when we look at what a new generation needs, and if we have proven that this is very, very fundamentally similar, yet a more vocal generation, I think there are 2 or 3 things that are absolutely essential. The one thing that new generation is very, very vocal about is having a sense of purpose. Why are we doing certain things? Or is my job basically leading to something bigger, better for the whole humanity? The organization that I work for, is it something bigger, better for the humanity? So I think that essential need to be able to talk about a larger purpose is what drives everything that we talk about. And to have that larger sense of purpose, they need more time to do things, which is where tools come in. how those tools are being used, and how you use those tools. That's where sustainability comes in. Now, if you look at an organization like mine, sustainability becomes a part of what we do and how we do it. And that's how we talk about it. We are a large commercial PNC company. So helping our customers move into the renewable energy transitions is an essential part of our business. But at the same time, every small step that we take as to how we run our businesses is also very, very important. Now, this could be something small, like because we use a flexible hybrid working model, again, something that Gen Z would want. They just cannot fathom that you need to come to work 5 days a week. We would have floors that are largely unutilized for certain days and times. And we have taken a conscious decision to, start shutting off floors depending on the utilizations, and that allows our carbon footprint to go down. We have started looking at travel very, very closely. I mean, do you really need to get onto a plane for this meeting, or you can easily do with virtual meetings? Again, with tools, the more smarter tools you use, you have to be conscious that there is not only an economic but an ecological price you pay for it. I do not know how many of you have researched the large language models. If everyone was using them, there won't be enough water on Earth to be able to handle all those servers, right? The amount of cooling they need. So we have to have the right balance to be able to see the right tools that we allow our younger generations to use to make their jobs more interesting, allows them that constant reskilling and upskilling. Again, something very, very important. I think the newer generation is also more aspirational in trying to add value to themselves and add value to the organizations, and which is why that need of constant reskilling and upskilling starts coming in. And I think in a way it's good, because the way technology is evolving, I think you need a generation that is very comfortable and very agile in being able to, cross those bridges.
So yesterday we talked about the alpha beta generation, which is going to be even more agile, which is
Absolutely.
going to be even
they are
more
born with certain
technology.
things. Yes,
Exactly.
I mean, I have read a very interesting book upon it that we do not realize, but actually human evolution is happening in front of our eyes.
Absolutely.
And the generations
All the time,
that are
yeah.
coming up, and even their tech savviness is part of that human
Yes.
evolution that we are not realizing. We simply think that our kids are very easy swiping smartphones, but it is part of human evolution. So it's very interesting, and I would recommend if you all would want to read that. So for us, culture then becomes, Lopa, a transversal of the tools you're using, the sustainability initiatives you have. We partner with a lot of organizations that would work on sustainability. For example, we have worked with a large NGO ensuring that we get water to some of the most water-starved parts of the country. And how do you kind of build that on a day in, day out?
And do you involve your employees in the process?
Yes.
Are they
yes.
a part of
Yes. So
what you do?
every year, globally, and of course in India, we have one day earmarked in the calendar, which is called Global Day of Giving. And every employee of our organization will go out and spend time giving back to the community, giving back to the nature. And you will be surprised on LinkedIn when comments come, more than our current employees, it's our ex-employees who come back and say the one thing they miss about AXA XL is Global Day of Giving, which
really
is
nice.
what I spoke about, how having a sense of purpose and how being able to give back to the community is so essential for the newer generation. And that is what evolves the culture. That basic human empathy then becomes the benchmark for all the policies
Everything
that
that
come
is
in,
done.
your DEI initiatives. I think the basic benchmark is human empathy. that leads to the, I would say, the fundamentals of the culture that you're trying to build.
Thank you so much. My next question is both to Priyansh and to Balajee. I want to understand that in both your organizations, and you can take it in any which order, with digitization to the extent that you talked about and you for AI, is there or are you foreseeing any impact right now on jobs over the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah. So this, I would say, is a very interesting and also a very risky question to answer in a large forum. With digitization, I would say, up till now we have not seen. We have had digitization for definitely as a major, I would say, strategic force for last 7, 8 years or 9 years. Up till now, we have not seen any direct linkage to job losses. But definitely, there are things like which are disappearing, or the new jobs which could have been created from earlier simpler jobs are no longer there. Like now, earlier every department head had a secretary. It is gone now, and no one is asking, no one is complaining. So this is a very simple example, but generally our work has become easier. Where we are using digitization more is to enable our equipment to perform better. So that is where the major focus has been. Of course, ease of our working environment is also important, but the high priority is for the machines to be able to deliver with lower fuel consumption, with lower maintenance cost, so that the farmer sees a benefit out of it. And I think up till now, generally, we have seen a high level of cooperation. And digitization is also in our organization is like, it doesn't happen overnight. It's a large organization across multiple countries. So we have stages. So normally something which would come out first in one country or for 5 countries, then in the next wave, next 7, 8 countries, like that it goes on. But for future, I am a little bit apprehensive in the sense that especially with the digitization was not so much of a challenge in terms of job, but with AI, I am really fearful that a lot of things which require many hours and a lot of intellectual ability, they can be done in a much simpler manner now and much faster. So will it result in more leisure for the existing employees, or will it result in, I would say, absence or slow reduction of jobs which does not require, which are like basic structured logical things? That's a question. I am not sure, but I'm apprehensive looking at I would say, the power and the ability of, I would say, structured thinking, structured answers. They are much easier and much faster. So definitely going forward, it will have an impact. To what extent, I cannot say, but for sure, it is going to have an effect. Digitization has had a limited impact, but with coming of AI, I think it is going to be much more impactful in terms of jobs. And it will not happen that suddenly tomorrow you cut 10 jobs or like that. It will happen gradually over a period of time. Some things you would not need, so no one would ask for those positions or those, so it will happen. Or some positions would merge into one. This kind of thing would happen. This is our understanding.
Thank you. Priyansh, what about in HP?
So we take this in a slightly different way. We look at it from a very different perspective, and I'd like to start a little historically on this. And the first belief is that we don't feel that AI is going to impact entire organizations overnight. That's not happening, right? So it's not that 40% of the workforce will suddenly receive an email saying, you know what, sorry, you're not required in office, AI took over your job, we don't need you anymore, we owe you so much money, it's in your bank account, don't come. That's not happening, right? And the reason why I wanted to take this historically was, if we go as back as the Industrial Revolution, right, what was that all about? It was all about optimization, not reduction, optimization of physical work and replacing that work with machines, physical machines, right? It did impact a lot in terms of employment at that point of time. And over a period of time, I think the internet has come in, automation has come in a large way. IT industry as a whole was possibly the first industry to embrace digital transformation. That's the term we use within the industry. Digital transformation from its core was always about making the job easier for the employee to do rather than getting rid of the employee, right? So the way we did digital transformation was we didn't want to reduce the number of people. We already know we had a certain amount of people, and what was very critical behind that thinking was we had a knowledge base of people. So we don't want to get rid of them, we only want to give them tools that make their job easier, faster, simpler, right? Now, when AI comes in, AI is a lot more evolved concept as compared to, I would say, industrial revolution, or for that matter, internet or digital transformation. It's a lot more evolved, right? And its impact is going to be a lot more, right? So, well, the sad news is that, yes, it is going to impact few jobs, but the jobs that it's going to impact are the ones where these are jobs where you're doing the same function over and over again. There's a limited set of decision making and you're doing the same job over and over again. So if you are into a processing job, or if there are jobs which are around processing of information in a very structured manner, those are the first ones to go with AI. A lot of people are pointing towards jobs relating to creativity, jobs relating to thinking. I have my doubts if that's happening. I did read an article again from Sam Altman saying ChatGPT 5 is going to be super intelligent. I unfortunately don't agree with him that it's coming very soon. It's going to take a lot of time. So I'm not really worried about jobs disappearing simply because AI is being brought in, right? Again, the reason why I say that is industries and businesses today are extremely, extremely cautious around implementing AI, right? And the root cause for that is because every decision making, which is the core power of AI, is today sitting on the cloud. And many organizations that are users for that decision making have no control on what data sits over there and how it gets used, and in many cases, how it gets misused. So if you don't have control over that, you're very, very skeptical in terms of how you use that, right? And just to give you an example, many corporates, many enterprises around the world are today using Microsoft Copilot. And how do they implement it? There are two levels of decision making in Copilot today. One is where the first level response is only out of resources within your organizations. And then the second is a web response, right? And here's the difference. It's not sending any of your corporate or enterprise data outside. It's only bringing data in, it's not sending anything out, right? So there's going to be, adoption is going to be a little limited. Sad news is, yes, there are going to be some jobs that are going to get impacted, but I think that's usual evolution, or a little more accelerated than usual evolution. But it's not going to wipe out categories of jobs overnight. That's not something that we are expecting.
Thank you. Professor Metri, I'd like to ask you that, as digitization is taking place across, it's not limited to certain set of organizations, and AI will at some point, sooner or later, be used much more than we are currently using. Given that scenario, do you think academia needs to sort of pivot away to a curriculum that is more focused towards IT, digitization and AI, and a little more skill-based, because any kind of repetitive jobs are going to disappear over a period of time? So does curricula need to be relooked in any form and format to keep pace with this?
Yeah, digitalization, I think most of the institution today we are using our own ERP, right. And also after COVID, now online has become mainline, and online, offline going together, and it is already there. And as a part of this online or digitalization, modification in the, instead of physical book, now e-books are coming. That is one, e-books and e-cases. Plus, the way we teach the courses earlier, totally offline, and now in hybrid or online, the pedagogy is entirely different. So here the flipped classroom, students come with preparation or even simulations, business games. So these are the different ways using the digitalization, their engagement, involvement, because attention span in online is how to enhance. For that purpose, the approaches are being changed, and many of the programs, for example, we have 18 variety of certificate program, and we use all those kind of things. And you were asking questions whether employee, because of digitalization, people are going to be reduced or not. Probably I must say that because of starting our online and this digitalization, so I think last 3 years our revenue went from 7 times, because we started running 18 variety of programs, and we were the first one to start cyber security program, because every business is on platform, digital platform. So cyber security has become very important, and second batch in coming 25th we are concluding second certificate program in the country, and nobody has started yet except ISB started after we starting this program. Similarly, blockchain, all the new generation courses. Because of that, in education institution, probably we need more people, because there is a huge demand from the corporate world for the training and certificate program.
Right.
So it is a challenge for getting skilled people in that area.
Thank you. Now I want to ask all three of you, and maybe Aditi can start, that what kind of sustainable sourcing practices are you all using in the organization, and how do you also ensure that your vendors, so your external stakeholders, they are aligned to your objective of sustainability?
So we have multiple programs, Lopa, that allows us to partner with the vendors who have similar values as us as far as sustainability comes in. And there are some both global and local you can say contract clauses that we follow that allows us to get to those sustainability practices. For us, we also have, for example, because we invest so much in diversity, when we look at our supply chain partners, we are also looking at diversity at their end than us. And that kind of allows us to build it into the whole value chain as we kind of start looking at our vendor partners. I think there are also, for example, as I spoke to you about, we also would go and actively partner with vendors, with NGOs who are our CSR partners in trying to see as to how do we take the same values that we would want as AXA XL to forward and build it into our systems. And this has allowed us to create a whole chain of like-minded partners to be used for any of our sourcing practices.
That's great.
See, the way we look at sustainability is that everything that, and we are manufacturers, right? And I would sort of like to speak for all IT manufacturers at this stage. Most of us produce stuff that creates a lot of carbon when it is produced. It creates carbon when it is transported, and it creates carbon for the usable life cycle of that product. Right? So we are carbon producers all over the place. Right? But I think the industry has done very well from 2-3 perspectives. One was that the IT industry overall, most vendors have recognized that sustainability is not just around carbon neutrality, it's around people. So you look at most of the annual general reports which pertain to sustainability for most hardware manufacturers, it's people, planet, and processes. From a process perspective, I think conscious calls have been taken, and I say conscious calls because over a period of time, almost everybody's realized sustainability is not cheap. We've earlier found cheaper ways of doing things. Now we are finding better ways of doing things, and there's a cost impact, right? So boards have to take the decision to invest money in that, right? more important over here is the fact that I think almost all hardware manufacturers have consciously decided that sustainability is not going to be limited upstream. Upstream means what you sell, where you sell. But it's also going to be downstream, which means whom do you procure your raw materials from? How do you procure your raw materials? Are they sustainably sourced, right? Are the right kind of people involved in this? Are they being done in the right manner? I hope there is no, we expect that there are no child labor involved in the production of our raw material, right? And I think the industry has done a lot of regulation around it, a very lot of conscious regulation. So this is something that's come a long way. Most of the IT vendors have very clear defined dates in terms of when they're going to be completely carbon neutral on all their operations. So it's not just about the products they produce, it's also about how they run their offices, how they run their management, what kind of people they hire, all of that around that.
Just one point on sustainability. Even though, for example, I am Nagpur. Nagpur is located, Nagpur is known as a center point of India. Now, Nagpur is not doing anything, but for example, company like Nordics, they have people across the country. They used to go to some other IIM. Now they decided to come to IIM Nagpur for their all programs, because it is centrally located, and if they come, CO2 emission will be less if they come to Nagpur for the training than going to Kolkata, Ahmedabad, or any corner of the country. So that is also part of sustainability. When the large gathering is there, if they come to the central place, carbon footprint will be less, CO2 emission will be less, and we are getting large number of programs because of location. We are not doing anything.
That's a great marketing tactic.
We call now, earlier Nagpur was known as a 0 mile, now we call it as a net zero center point of India.
Yeah. Wow. That's great.
Good one.
I guess, Lopa, the one other point that I would want to add is that in certain cases we have realized that we would probably have greater institutional knowledge as far as sustainability practices have concerned. And in certain cases we have actually gone out and have trained some of the smaller vendor partners we work with on sustainable practices. For example, the vendors we use on getting our electronics, the laptops and the monitors we use, and we are trying to get them recycled. And we realize some of the smaller vendors would not have the degree of expertise that is required for sustainable disposal, both from a data security point of view and a sustainable disposal practices. We have actually gone ahead and have started doing specialized training programs to ensure that they are to our standards, and we build that expertise in the industry.
Very good. Thank you. I think I'll open this now to questions from the audience. I've been told that time is running out. So let's hear from the audience. If you all can raise your hand, somebody will get you a mic. And a small request, if the question can be brief and if it can be a question and not a statement.
Yeah, I am Piyush from ILM University. See, Shravan and Manan are two important things in the part of learning. First we listen, then we interpret and we discriminate, right? But with AI being coming in for right from interpretation to analysis and for summarization, I think that we would be losing that power of discrimination, which has been the reason behind many discoveries for ages, and being led towards a cowherd mentality. So how do you think that this challenge can be taken up for the future generations?
Do you want anyone specific to take that? Or?
Anybody, maybe sir in the center, talking about the AI.
Priyansh.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't remember the names.
Thank you, Piyush. I've been a very strong believer in the Indian system of doing things, especially with the kind of diligence that we do, the categorization of at what age what needs to be done. So I completely agree with you. What AI does for us is only and only summarizing things at this point of time. It's going to be a while before AI can realistically make real life human decisions for us. And I think far too many industry leaders have cautioned from different, verticals, different industries. They've cautioned people, and especially I would say, the students at large. And I would like to quote Mr. Mukesh Ambani, where he said that use AI, but apni buddhi ka bhi istemal kijiye, right? So I think the eventual control is still with the individual that uses AI. That control is still going to be there. The pattern is still going to be the same, except that some parts of the journey will be shortened, right? So instead of probably reading the entire article or reading 6-7 pages on a particular subject, you could ask AI to summarize it for you and give you the top talking points. But, and I'd like to take the liberty to say this in Hindi, usko yaad karna aur usko kiske samne kaise bolna hai, that is something that is still owned by the individual.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I hope
Anyone
it answers the
else?
question.
Any other questions?
Hi, Priyansh. My question is to Priyansh only, and it is related to the question previously asked. As AI is reducing the effort as well as the hurdle, so cannot we say that the generation G, at least they are safer one, but the next generation alpha, beta, will they have that much of natural intelligence to even decide the things? Thank you.
Now you put me in a spot, huh? Okay. So I've learned about the alpha and beta generation only a couple of days back, especially when I got to know about the theme of this particular talk. Okay. So I'll have to think a little bit about this and and I usually use the term that I'm going to carefully word this. We have seen historically that every succeeding generation has not only been presented with lesser challenges or modified challenges in life, they've also had a very different set of challenges in life. And I think Aditi put it very, very aptly when she was earlier talking about, Generation Z or Gen Z. They have different challenges. They don't have this roti kapda or makan challenges. They're very big life challenges, and I don't relate to that. Their very big life challenges is how many likes did I get? I posted a pouting photo, अभी तक मेरी bestie ने उसको like नहीं किया है. When I was in school, my bestie didn't turn up for school for 3 days. I wasn't bothered, frankly, right? मुझे पता था चौथे दिन आ जाएगा, right? So every succeeding generation will have a certain modified set of challenges, modified set of life patterns and life goals, right? So I'm of the opinion that they will again have a different way of life. I agree with the fact that human beings are evolving. They're evolving relatively a lot more faster than probably the last couple of decades. There was a lot of difference between how I lived my life vis-a-vis how my parents lived. And there's a huge difference between how my daughter is living her life, and there's going to be a huge difference between how her children are going to live their lives. So I'm not quite sure if I've answered the question, but summary is it's going to be a different set of challenges.
You're very brave. You even attempted to answer that question. So thank you very much for rescuing us there. A big thank you to all of you. I think it was a very interesting discussion, and we could go on and on because I think the topics of sustainability, artificial intelligence, Gen Z are some of the things that all of us, whether we are in industry, academia, as individuals, I think we are all grappling with some of these issues. While many of these have been around for a while, I think the impact of some of those are coming to the forefront only now, and it's going to get even stronger going forward. But it was very interesting to learn how each one of you are dealing with it in your organizations, in the academic institution, the kind of practices that you all are putting in place. and the role as, you know, you all are playing as leaders to even sort of bring in within that ambit all external stakeholders, your vendors, partners, service providers, because truly without everybody being aligned in that journey, you know, this is not going to happen. So thank you very much for taking the time out and for speaking to us. Let's give them a big round of applause.
What a truly engaging session this was. Thank you, leaders, for making the session truly relatable for all of us and giving us such appropriate, relatable examples. And our panelists have keenly posited that as we navigate the evolving landscape of future workforce, one thing is truly, truly clear. That collaboration, adaptability, and innovation with everyone at all levels of our associations, organizations, and institutes will make it possible to take the driving forces of our future workplace ahead. We would like to extend a sincere gratitude to all our panelists seated here and Ms. Lopamudra for moderating today's Guftagu with CEOs session. Your insights have sparked new ways of thinking and will undoubtedly leave a remark and imprint on all of us. Let's have a big round of applause for all the speakers. Now may I invite Mr. Nishikant Rai, CFO at Mind Integrated Solutions, to felicitate all the speakers of this session.